Breaking right now on Morning News Now, digging out this morning a deadly winter storm making its way offshore after slamming states in its path from the south to the northeast. Now tens of millions of people left to clean up the mess as bitter cold sets in. Well, that monster storm leaving behind more than a foot of snow in some areas. But that did not keep everyone indoors despite the warnings. In New York City, hundreds of people heading out to experience the elements. That actually includes Olympic snowboarding legend, that's who you're watching there, Shaun White, spotted doing tricks in Central Park yesterday. And in Brooklyn, Mayor Zohran Mamdani seen with a shovel helping crews dig a car out of the snow. Also breaking this morning, though, mounting tensions in Minnesota and beyond over the ongoing immigration operations across the state. This is after a second shooting death at the hands of a federal agent. Now state lawmakers demanding an end to the raids and blaming President Trump and his administration.
We believe in law and order in this state. We believe in peace. And we believe that Donald Trump needs to pull these 3,000 untrained agents out of Minnesota before they kill another person.
And the fact that it's the administration that's being blamed for the utter failure of leadership in Minneapolis is not right. It's not appropriate.
Thanks very much for being with us. We have a lot of news to cover on this Monday morning. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Let's get right to it, starting with that monster storm. We're going to have a full weather forecast in just a moment. We want to start checking in with our journalists stationed all across the country. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda joins us from Central Park here in New York City. NBC News reporter Gary Grumbach has more from Washington, D.C. So, Emily, the weather blamed now for at least 9 deaths across several states this morning. Still more than 200 million people are under cold alerts. Just tell us about the impacts left behind by this storm.
Hey guys, good morning to you. Well, officials calling this winter storm an Arctic siege, and it's easy to see why. We're talking about the bitter cold and then an immense amount of snow. Here in Central Park, we're looking at nearly a foot of snow, making it the largest snowstorm in New York City in some 5 years. And that light, fluffy stuff we saw falling from the sky yesterday, it's now a lot heavier and it's really icy because of the freezing rain overnight, along with dropping temperatures. Similar scenes of blankets of snow seen across the country. Philadelphia recording more than 9 inches of snow, Providence, Rhode Island, a foot of snow, and Boston 16+ inches of snow and counting. And you can see why it's making a mess on the roadways, at airports as well. And the heavy snow, and in parts of the country up to an inch of ice, causing so many tree branches and power lines to snap. That's why hundreds of thousands of Americans are waking up in the dark without power in these bitterly cold temperatures this morning. So far, officials say tragically 9 people have died in this winter storm from things like the bitter cold. One woman in Massachusetts tragically died when a snow plow plowing a parking lot there had backed up into her. And there's a lot of concern this morning as the morning commute gets underway. Officials urging people to stay off the roads again, because I mentioned we got a lot of snow, but then also there was freezing rain for much of the country and this bitterly cold that is turning any kind of moisture into ice, guys.
Gary, let's bring you in here from D.C. I mean, we saw the storm just cause travel chaos, delays, cancellations at airports all over the country. What do we think that means for those that need to catch a flight this week? How long is it going to take to get back on track?
Yeah, the roads are a mess, but the skies actually may be messier. We saw more than 12,000 cancellations yesterday. We haven't seen a number like that since the days of COVID, when things were canceled because of the pandemic. And today does not look like it's going to be a whole lot better. Already 3,500 cancellations, according to the FlightAware Misery Map, in the U.S. and going out of the U.S. And part of the problem is that the airports need to get the planes de-iced that are already sitting there. They need to get the tarmacs clean of snow and of ice. DCA, LaGuardia were completely closed yesterday, in part because they simply couldn't move the planes. And the other problem here is that they need to get the planes in the right place. Everyone's out of position for flights that are going to go today. So it's going to take several days until everything gets back on track at the nation's airports, guys.
Gary, I also want to ask you about power outages. PowerOutage.com says about 800,000 people still without power this morning. What areas are in the dark right now? How long could it take to get power restored? That's important because this bitter cold has set in.
Yeah, this was a storm that at one point stretched from New Mexico up to Maine, and that's about where we're seeing power outages, right? A little bit everywhere, but there's some places that are particularly hit hard here, and one of those are Tennessee. We're seeing more than 250,000 folks that are out in Tennessee, and in large part because of the above-ground power lines. What's happening here with the sleet and with the freezing rain is that it's collecting on the lines and collecting on the trees, bringing down the trees, and the weight of the ice is bringing down the lines as well. And this is not the kind of thing that crews can just come out and fix in a few hours. It's going to take a significant amount of time, especially in Tennessee and some of the rural areas, for folks to get to them and to get this power restored, guys.
Emily, snow has mostly stopped, but we are just still seeing this cold. You mentioned it, 10 to 40 degrees below average. What does that mean the biggest concerns are there for areas that have been impacted throughout this week as it gets so cold?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to read on the camera, but even when I'm merely breathing, you can see my breath. That's just how cold it is. And it's not just New York City. It's much of the country. Parts of the state, the governor had said, actually in the minus 30s and 40s over the weekend with this winter storm. That's actual temperature, not wind chill. And so a concern with that cold is, as I mentioned before, turning any kind of moisture into ice. I talked about the consistency as well. And so this is a heavy snow to clean up. You're going to see piles of snow like this all over the city and also in those hard-hit regions of the country, snowplows working around the clock. That makes clearing the roadways a bit harder, just the consistency and the weight of the snow, and it's why we're seeing so many school districts actually close school for the day, from Memphis to Atlanta, Philadelphia to Boston. Millions of kids, a lot of kids are going to be staying home. Here in New York City, they've resorted to remote learning, and some districts across the country have said that we could see several days of school cancellations because of just the sheer mess that is required to clean up, and with the bitter cold hanging on. I mean, minus 30 and 40 actual temperature. It's hard to fathom, guys.
It really
kidding.
is.
And
Maybe not for Joe.
no snow day for kids in New York today, but at least they don't have to go outside. That's the important thing. Emily, Gary, we're grateful to both of you for being out there this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Get warm now. All right, for a closer look at where things stand now that the worst is over, let's take a look at your morning news now weather.
Yeah, meteorologist Andrea Romero joins us now. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. We're going to take a look at those snow totals that we have so far, stretching from Texas all the way into New England. We can see in Dallas, we have a reported 1.5 inches on the ground. In Oklahoma City, close to 8.5 inches. In Little Rock, a little bit over 4, 8 inches coming in St. Louis. And further on east, we have in the nation's capital, close to 7 inches fell there. While in New York City and Central Park, we had 11.5 inches. And in Boston, we had close to 17 inches, and we're expecting more snow perhaps accumulating in that area. As we can see, we are dealing with light accumulating snow still in eastern New England as the storm pushes out. And of course, we are dealing with those temperatures that are remaining below zero. We do have a clipper system that's going to be moving into the Great Lakes, so we are expecting more snow squalls and strong winds. So this winter doesn't want to let up, and we're expecting snowfall forecast through Thursday, especially in a Tug Hill plateau of up to 2 feet due to that lake effect snow. Right now, over 60 million people are still under winter weather alerts, including some ice warnings down in Atlanta, not because it's coming down, but because what's already on the ground, because we're dealing with those record low temperatures. It's dangerously cold today. We can see those temperatures that are going to be below average, maybe up to 20, 30 degrees, as we can see there in the Central Plains. Temperatures that will be freezing will continue into tomorrow, stretching all across basically half the country at this point, and no relief for late week. We're looking at those temperatures that are going to be maintaining those cold numbers across the region, and that's going to continue into next week as well, with colder than average temperatures expected next week. Drier than average conditions will persist across much of the country. So looking at the week ahead, the snow will be lingering today in the northeast. We have that Arctic chill that's extending all the way into the south. That Canadian air just keeps coming down, and those temperatures will be really cold. For all those cleanups, you want to make sure you bundle up and you take it slow when you're out there shoveling that snow. Very cold air continues Wednesday. We begin to see some northwest rain moving in along the western part of the country. That's been quiet considering everything that's going on in the central and eastern part of the country. And then by Friday, that wintry blast continues as far as the temperatures. It's going to be a long stretch of freezing temperatures temperatures, so we have to be prepared for that.
Quiet out west, except for the fourth quarter of the Broncos game yesterday, which was a blizzard out of nowhere.
Oh my gosh, that was really something.
Andrea, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Outrage is growing in Minneapolis following Saturday's fatal shooting of Alex Pretti. Anti-ICE protests broke out nationwide over the weekend after the 37-year-old ICU nurse was killed by a Border Patrol agent on Saturday. Despite freezing temperatures across much of the U.S., protesters took to the streets. They're demanding justice for Pretti, as eyewitness video from the moments he was killed appears to contradict some of what federal officials say happened. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest from Minneapolis.
New videos raising questions of what exactly happened in the lead up to Alex Pretti's death. The Trump administration now doubling down on defense of the officers involved. Federal officials saying agents acted in self-defense. The Department of Homeland Security posting that Pretti approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
When he did that, interacting with those agents, when they tried to get him to disengage, he became aggressive and resisted them throughout that process. These officers used their training, followed their protocols, and were in fear of their lives and the people around them. And that's how this tragedy unfolded.
At least 5 separate witness videos appear to show a different or contradicting sequence of events. Footage seen from a sidewalk, the street, inside a store, oh my God! And from a car just feet away. Videos show federal agents shoving a person, with Pretti then stepping in. That's when an agent pepper sprays him in the face while Pretti clutches his phone. Seconds later, several agents wrestle Pretti to the ground, where videos do not appear to show him brandishing a weapon, as DHS had stated. This angle showing an officer swing something at Pretti's head. Pushing in on this video, you can see one agent reach behind Pretti, appearing to remove a gun from his waistband. As someone yells, "Gun," that same agent appears to step away, and about a second later, the first shot is fired, followed by a flurry of gunshots.
Call an ambulance, please.
I think the key detail is, were the agents under the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm? And nowhere in that video does it show that he pointed a gun at them, brandished a gun at them. There's no piece where you can see him reaching for the gun.
Local officials say Pretti was a lawful gun owner with a permit for concealed carry. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino asked about this.
Did the officers see the weapon? Did they see him brandishing the weapon at him?
Sure. Many videos out there, many different accounts that you may see. All those minute details that will paint a true picture, not a freeze frame concept, and paint a larger picture of what really happened. That is why we investigate, so we can get to the truth, so there's not speculation.
Meanwhile, near a growing memorial in Minneapolis. What do you see when you watch those videos?
An execution, an absolute execution. Every angle shows it, and they continue to fire bullets at him while his body was lifeless on the ground.
And tonight, regarding those officers involved in the death of Alex Pretti, Commander Greg Bovino saying today that all of them are working. None have been placed on administrative leave. Bovino added that the group has been relocated out of state out of concerns that would be doxxed and or harassed. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Morgan, thank you.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News law enforcement analyst and retired ATF special agent in charge, Jim Kavanaugh. Jim, good morning. We just saw you, just heard you there in Morgan's piece. Give us a little bit of your analysis, but tell us more about what you make of what you see in these videos of the shooting.
What I see, Savannah, is an unjustified use of deadly force. Mr. Pretti is just trying to help someone get picked up who was pushed into snowbank. He's then pepper sprayed, and the agent tries to arrest him, probably for interfering with ICE officers. It's kind of weak in my view, but, you know, he's there, and if they deem he's in their way and obstructing, that could be a legitimate arrest. But then they're all over him, and his hands are in front of him on the tarmac. He doesn't have a gun in his hands. He's not reaching for a gun. He's not pointing or brandishing a gun. And one of the ICE agents comes over, removes a pistol from his back right waistband. It may be in his waistband or holster, you can't really tell. And he moves away with the gun. And then one of the agents next to him draws a duty weapon, steps behind him, and shoots 1 and then 3 times. That's what it looks like. It looks like he shot him 4 times right there. And a medical professional, I think it was the Washington Post, who did the interview, said he had 4 wounds in his back. Then he falls over on the sidewalk face up, and he's shot repeatedly about 6 times. And, he clearly is not a danger there. He's on his back, supine, gravely wounded. You can't tell in the video if his hands are visible, but where's the threat? So the obfuscation and the canards that are coming out, these are just minute details. They're not minute details. They're extremely important, large, huge details when an officer makes the decision to use deadly force. And that has to put him in an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm, him or others. Could be his fellow agents or a citizen. But where is that? That's nowhere in this video.
Jim,
now, we as analysts, and we can say that, when we look at it.
Jim, I also want to ask you, as Morgan just reported, the Border Patrol Commander Bovino said agents involved have been relocated, but they're still working. I've never heard of that. I find anytime any sort of officer with law enforcement is involved with a shooting, they're immediately put on some sort of administrative leave. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Yeah, yes, Joe, it's okay. Every department does it a little different. The main thing is you're taking off the duty line where you're on heavy enforcement. Some agencies, you just go to a desk job until the pending investigation is over, so you're not out enforcing the law. There's lots of stuff to do in law enforcement agencies, intelligence support, logistics. There's all kinds of issues and tasks to do, or they could be put in another office somewhere. There's nothing wrong with that. Other agencies decide, well, you're going to be on an administrative leave, so you can go home. And some send them home for just a few days to kind of, cool down because they've just involved in a violent act and a death. So, take a week off and then come back to an administrative job until we investigate this. So, the problem we're hearing is, he's a terrorist. He came there to kill everyone. None of that's shown in these videos or the prior history of this guy. I think you could argue he was obstructing, but that's not a reason to be shot 4 times in the back and murdered. So, no, I think they've got an uphill battle to try to make this a justified use of force.
All right. Jim Kavanaugh, thank you, as always, for your time and expertise.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defended ICE officers and pointed the finger at local police during an appearance on Meet the Press yesterday. Moderator Kristen Welker has more on that conversation. Kristen, good morning.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke exclusively with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche about the killing of 37-year-old Alex Pretti, an American citizen, by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis. Mr. Blanche, I just want to stay on this, though. Local officials do say Alex Pretti was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. The video seems to show at one moment an officer removing a gun in the seconds before Mr. Pretti was shot. Was he disarmed before those shots were fired?
I do not know, and nobody else knows either. That's why we're doing an investigation. It does appear that he was armed. I have heard the same thing you have, that he was lawfully armed, and that's something that's important in this country, and there's nothing wrong with anybody lawfully carrying firearms. But whether he was disarmed or whether he pulled the gun on law enforcement, whether law enforcement saw him go for the gun, what they have to do is they have to protect themselves, they have to protect the public around them, and we'll see what happens. But just make no mistake about it. This was an incredibly split-second decision that had to be made by ICE officers confronting a very complicated, violent situation with not a single local law enforcement officer in sight.
You can see my full interview and a whole lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. Let's bring in NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz for more on the reaction on Capitol Hill, where the fallout from this shooting over the weekend could actually now push the federal government into another partial shutdown. Megan, good morning. The government runs out of money this Friday, and now Senate Democrats, they're threatening to vote against a bill that would fund the Department of Homeland Security unless it comes with new restrictions on ICE. That includes some of those Democrats who broke with the party, reopening the government during that last shutdown in November. What's the strategy here? How real is this possibility that we will see a shutdown over money for ICE?
Good morning. Yes, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had announced that Democrats would not vote in favor of this appropriations bill if it includes funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Now, that's notable because the appropriations bill would ultimately need some Democratic support in order to get over the finish line. The goal here for Democrats is they really want to implement guardrails and make some changes in the way that ICE is operating. Some Democrats as well also want that DHS funding part of the bill to be taken out of the bill. That does not seem likely right now, though, because a spokesperson for Senate Majority Leader John Thune had said that this would all come up as one bill. Now, as you mentioned, we're getting close to a deadline here for a government shutdown. So if the appropriations bill does not pass by the end of the month, then we could ultimately go into a partial government shutdown here. I do want to note that even if that does happen, the administration would still have access to some immigration enforcement funds that had already been previously passed if there is ultimately a partial government shutdown here.
Megan, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota made an appeal to Republicans yesterday. This was on Meet the Press, and we're going to play a little bit of what she said when talking about this funding bill. We'll talk on the other side.
Right now, ICE, border control, what you've seen, violating the First Amendment. If they care about the Constitution, they should care about this. Violating the Second Amendment, the NRA has come out and said, I'm sorry, you can't blame Alex simply because he was a legal gun permit holder. So my point here is our Republican colleagues have to stand up and stop this. And no, I am not voting for this funding.
Megan, what are we hearing in response from Republicans when it comes to funding DHS?
Yeah, Republicans still seem to be largely in favor of funding the Department of Homeland Security, but we are starting to hear some pushback from Republicans who are saying, let's have an investigation into the shooting this weekend. So I want to point you to a post from Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska, who said that his support for funding ICE remains the same, but also said that we must also maintain our core values as a nation, including the right to protest and assemble. Now, President Trump also said in an interview that from the Wall Street Journal that they are reviewing everything. At the same time here, I also want to note that there is some pushback from Second Amendment defenders who are calling on the administration and are pushing back, basically saying that the fact that Alex Pretti had a concealed carry permit and had a gun on him at the time should not have made him a target. They're pushing back against the administration, saying that he posed a threat for having a gun on him here, guys.
Megan, are there any signs the White House is considering pulling back the federal presence in Minnesota?
So President Trump is still pushing forward with his immigration enforcement policies. That's according to a senior White House official. Now, that official had also told NBC News that that President Trump is still having conversations with aides about potentially using the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis. Now, President Trump also told the Wall Street Journal yesterday that at some point we will leave, referring to immigration officials in Minneapolis. We also heard from the president last night in a post to Truth Social calling on Democratic mayors and governors to formally work with the Trump administration, including by having local police work with federal immigration enforcement officials on these immigration enforcement operations here, guys.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. We got much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, snow way out. Our coverage continues. That monster winter storm as the cleanup begins. We'll get an update on the conditions, plus some tips on how to deal with this dangerous cold.
Up first, though, after the break, we're developing news out of Gaza, a critical border crossing set to reopen as phase one of a fragile ceasefire deal comes to an end. We'll be right back. We are back now with the latest news out of the Middle East. Last night, Israel announced an agreement to reopen Gaza's critical Rafah border crossing with Egypt once the last hostage is located and returned.
This final homecoming is widely considered the remaining obstacle in finishing the first phase of the ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel.
For the latest, let's bring in NBC News International correspondent Matt Bradley. Matt, good morning. So we will get to that Rafah crossing in just a moment. First, though, let's talk about what's happening on the ground. There were 2 separate attacks inside Gaza this weekend. What can you tell us?
That's right. Airstrikes, artillery, these have been used multiple times, many times, ever since the ceasefire came into place almost 4 months ago. Now, in that time, according to Palestinian health officials in the Gaza Strip, which is run by Hamas, nearly 500 people have been killed. In these attacks yesterday, at least 1 child was badly injured. So what we're seeing is on a regular basis, Israel striking what they say are Hamas targets, people who are operating drones. They say are militants trying to approach the so-called yellow line to which the Israelis had withdrawn as part of this ceasefire deal. So while we have seen this ceasefire staying in place for all of these months, it's only done so barely, and it could break at any time. It's standing despite these violations.
So, Matt, on Saturday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who's been keeping very busy this past week. What are we learning about that meeting?
Yeah, well, the Witkoff said that this was something that was very constructive, this meeting. It looks as though the president and Witkoff and Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and the top envoy, one of the ones who inked this deal that all but ended the war in the Gaza Strip, that they're very concerned that Benjamin Netanyahu is himself going to be delaying the implementation of what we've all been talking about, that second phase of this deal, where it goes from something like a ceasefire to a more permanent treaty that would end with the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip and plans for post-war governance. Now, President Trump already announced, along with Steve Witkoff, that everybody was going right in to phase 2, despite the fact that that last remaining body that you mentioned had not been returned. Ran Gavili is now still in the Gaza Strip, his body. So only when his body is returned will the Israelis believe or say that they have moved into phase 2. But as far as the Americans are concerned, phase 2 has already begun a long time ago.
And we want to talk a little bit more about this because, as we mentioned, the Rafah border crossing is expected to reopen once the remains of that last hostage are returned, Matt. I mean, just tell us about Israel's large-scale operation to bring the final hostage home and when we could expect this ceasefire deal to enter phase 2.
Well, like I said, that's kind of a tough question because the president has already said that we're in phase 2. The Israelis don't seem to agree, and there's a lot of conversation about what phase 2 actually means. A lot of the notion around phase 2, around the planning, is still the subject of diplomatic debate. So we've already entered phase 2, if you believe the president. If you believe the Israelis, phase 2 will only happen within the next week or maybe a little more once they find the body of Ran Gavili. Now, there are Israeli operatives, basically forensics experts who have fanned out inside a Muslim cemetery in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. That's where they believe that this body is buried. Hamas has long stated that they're going to really struggle to find some of these remaining bodies, not just because all of the Gaza Strip is covered in debris, but also because a lot of the people who buried these bodies have since been killed in the fighting.
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you very much. Well, coming up, winter's wrath. The storm may be over, but the cold is just setting in.
When we come back, we're going to take you to New England, where millions of people are waking up to a big mess in that bitter cold. You are watching Morning News Now. We are back with our top story this morning, that deadly winter storm that is sweeping across so much of the U.S.
Around 185 million people are under winter alerts, while more than 800,000 people are waking up without power as heavy rain and snow blanket the country and create major disruptions.
No better example of that than where NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin is in Boston, hit hard over the weekend. Aaron, just walk us through the latest there and some of the scenes you've seen unfold there.
Hey there, Joe. Well, the snow is still coming down here in Boston, and I can tell you it is sticking at a very cool 16 degrees Fahrenheit. This has been a monster storm, and it has been a deadly storm, claiming at least 9 lives so far. The storm spanning 2,000 miles from Texas all the way to Maine. And while for the most part, this storm is working its way outside of the United States, it is leaving behind these bitterly cold temperatures, some 200 million Americans now under cold alerts. And over the weekend, we saw just chaos on the roadways, car crashes, multi-vehicle pileups in the Midwest and the Northeast. In Indiana alone, authorities there responded to more than 360 car crashes. Now, the hope is at this point that the storm is leaving, that the majority of people here in New England will heed the warnings, stay at home for today. School is out. Folks encouraged to work remotely while the system, what remains of the system, works its way off coast, Joe.
So, Aaron, what's the outlook like for the next 24 hours? What kind of relief are we going to see?
Well, as I said, right now, New England still pretty much in the thick of it. I don't know if you can see some of the snow still coming down, though not as quite as bad as it was last night. Last night, it was very windy, very snowy. The snow plows out all night to keep up pace. The hope is they can do the same today so that everything will be back online tomorrow.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much. Stay safe.
The dog frolicking behind her, though, a moment ago was a reminder. They love this. They're all in on
Mine
this.
sure does, yeah.
All right, let's get a closer look at the wintry conditions outside with your Morning News Now weather.
We have meteorologist Andrea Romero with us. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, except for the dogs that put the brakes on, right? When you open the door, there's some of those. All right, we're looking at the winter storm and how it's been looking the last 3 hours. It's beginning, obviously, to pull and move offshore, but we still have some precipitation that's falling, mostly here over the mid-Atlantic. We have some rain. We had some freezing rain earlier, and we're also dealing with still some snow over New England. In fact, we have 46 million impacted. That number was revived since the last half hour. We had some advisories that dropped, some watches and warnings continue, though, across the region. We even have some ice warnings down in Georgia, but that's because of the ice that already fell, not because we're expecting more ice to fall throughout the day. Now, if we look at those snow totals so far, stretching from Texas all the way to New England, we have close to 1.5 inches in Dallas that was reported, close to 8.5 inches in Oklahoma City, in St. Louis, close to 8 inches, and in New England we have close to 11.5 inches in Central Park. And Boston, this is the updated number. We're looking at over 18.5 inches that fell in that city. And now, well, winter continues. We have that storm pulling away. So we still have that light accumulating snow that's expected in over eastern New England. And the temperatures, of course, remain below freezing. And we have another clipper system that's going to be moving into the region, crossing the Great Lakes into tomorrow with some snow squalls and some strong gusty winds that will dump basically up to 1 foot to 2 feet of snow still in northern New York in the Tug Hill Plateau. We're looking for those accumulations. Record lows. That's the story today. We're talking about record low temperatures that will be stretching through Texas, over the Central Plains, into parts of New England. Temperatures are going to be cold. The next 3 mornings these are the air temperatures, but the wind chills, of course, will feel below zero in many locations. So the snow will be lingering over the northeast. East and the Arctic chill will remain today. And today, in many areas, is actually the warmest day of the week. Because yeah, I'm always a bearer of good news, right?
I love how you had the map earlier that was like January 31st to like February 4th.
Yes.
Still winter.
Yes.
Still cold. So
exactly.
No relief anytime soon.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you. Now I want to talk about how we can all best stay safe and warm during all this.
Yeah, this winter storm didn't just bring snow and ice. The thermometer took a dramatic tumble with dangerously low temps expected to last for several days.
Here with tips for us is medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. Azar, we see you are nice and warm at home. Staying indoors, obviously the best advice here, but what are some other tips?
Yeah, so we have some tips for our viewers. One of the most important things, I think, is health awareness. That is, you should recognize the signs and symptoms of hypothermia and frostbite. We want you to limit exertion. So think of this, if you're a typical like weekend warrior, you can't just go out and start shoveling snow if you're not warmed up, if you're not a routine exerciser. Heart attacks absolutely happen in this scenario. Staying dry, staying hydrated, wearing layers is really important. There's 3 layers. There's an initial layer that's kind of like to wick moisture, and then a middle layer to insulate, think like wool or fleece, and then an outer layer that is both water and windproof, and indoor safety. We can't forget about that. Never running generators inside. You know, there's a whole list of things that you need to be aware of if you lose power, for example, and you're relying on other sources of heat. For example, never use a gas stove to heat a home.
Yeah, carbon monoxide often becomes the story in the days after a major storm like this. I want to talk more about layers. Exactly. You mentioned that there. I mean, is it already just too dangerous to be outside without all those extra layers, or at what point does it become too dangerous?
Yeah, so Joe, I think sort of a general number to keep in mind, two numbers. One is that when the temperature gets below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, if it is wet, so we're talking wet snow or rain or something, I guess not at the high 40s, you're not going to get snow so much, you can absolutely become hypothermic even at a temperature in the 40s, but it's below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, of course, the temperature of freezing, where it's really essential to start using that layering technique.
And Dr. Azar, what are the signs of hypothermia, and how can you help someone who maybe you think is developing hypothermia?
Right. So one of the first signs, of course, is shivering, very vigorous shivering. Blood pressure might go up. The heart rate might go up. But then people can start sort of transitioning into more of a danger zone. And what we mean by that is that they can become confused. They can become lethargic. They might be fumbling with their hands or even slurring their speech. And critically, the shivering can stop. The heart rate can start to come down. So at any point in time where you think that somebody might be nearing that point, call 911. Better to err on the side of caution.
Let's also talk about frostbite. What should we look out for, and how do you treat that?
Yeah, so one of the earliest signs is something that we actually refer to as frost nip. That's when an extremity becomes kind of red and tingly, but then as frostbite potentially progresses, the skin is going to become kind of pale, grayish, numb, and kind of waxy. What's really, really important, of course, is to avoid that exposure, right? So get rid of that cold exposure, but it's really essential that you don't put somebody, for example, in a hot shower or go in front of a fireplace, because skin that is numb is skin that can actually become damaged or burn. If you notice any blistering with blood or any very dark blackish tissue, medical emergency, you need to get medical attention ASAP.
All right, Dr. Azar, great tips there. Thank you so much.
Coming up, emergency in New York City. Our winter storm coverage continues after this break with a look at how officials are working to keep people safe in the nation's biggest city after the city's biggest storm in years.
Plus, the drinking divide, the new guidelines by the Trump administration raising questions about alcohol, loneliness, and your health. Morning News Now will be right back.
We're back with our top story this hour, the monster winter storm battering the eastern half of the U.S. Since Saturday, it has dumped sleet, freezing rain, and snow on tens of millions of people, bringing those sub-zero temps to several states.
Right here in New York City, we saw more than 10 inches of snow, which led to hundreds of flight cancellations at JFK and LaGuardia airports. Well, officials also warn of dangerous driving conditions because those roads are icy. New York State Police say they have responded to more than 200 crashes.
For more on the situation in New York, let's bring in Christina Farrell. She's the first Deputy Commissioner for NYC Emergency Management. Good morning. Good to have you with us, and thank you for taking the time. I know you've been busy these past few days. We know the mayor, Zohran Mamdani, said there have been 5 deaths over the weekend, although he did not confirm that these were weather-related. But this is the biggest snowstorm the city has seen in 5 years. What are your emergency teams seeing on the ground, and just where do the snow cleanup efforts stand right now?
Yeah, so like you said, it's we've seen a lot of snow and it's very cold. The snow is going to stick around. So sanitation has been out since Friday morning, using all the tools it has. 2,200 plows were out yesterday, taking multiple passes at all the roads. But this is a lot of snow, something we're not really used to so much in the city anymore. So we're going to keep working all day, all night to keep the roads clear and get the city in as good a shape as we can.
The sleet and snow, they're largely done at this point, although I do think we're still expecting a tiny bit this morning. But now, of course, the biggest concern is just how cold it is. Temperatures are expected to stay below freezing until early next week, and then those wind chills drop below zero. What challenges do those conditions pose to emergency teams?
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, we're very focused on vulnerable New Yorkers, the unhoused, elderly, people who might not have consistent heat and hot water. We are in an enhanced code blue, which means we have outreach teams all across the city talking to folks that are outside, trying to get them inside, get them the resources that they need. And we're also encouraging New Yorkers. We have a local 311 system here. We're encouraging New Yorkers, if they see people outside that are in obvious distress or need of help, they should call 311 and resources will be deployed. We also have to keep our eye on the grid, make sure we haven't seen any major power outages, but we want to keep the power on for everyone. And also water main breaks can happen when it's this cold. So we still have many hazards that we are very focused on.
No surprise, we've seen several people out enjoying the snow, sledding, skiing, snowboarding in Central Park. Shaun White was there, so I guess the Olympics are happening in Central Park. What's your main message to New Yorkers when it comes to that? And also I just walked a couple blocks this morning, and the main thing I noticed is that underneath that snow coming down is some ice. It is slick, and oftentimes it's the falls and the slips that can keep emergency rooms busy in the coming days, right?
For sure. People should be very careful. Wear proper footwear, wear warm clothes, be careful. Don't walk on anything that looks icy, but like you said, things can be covered up. The city is hiring snow laborers who will go out and who will work on sidewalks and on places that might be slippery, but people really need to take care. And if you don't feel confident being out in this weather, I would give it a little more time for the city to get the streets and get everything a little better.
I understand you've been part of NYC emergency management since 2003. How does this storm compare to other winter storms you've seen?
This is a big one. Apparently every 10 years we have a big storm. We've had storms that have been upwards of 2 feet. And so this might not be the largest in the city, but it certainly is the largest in quite a while. I have to say city workers, our new City Hall administration, the mayor, everybody has been so focused working on this 24/7. So, it's been a snowy winter and we're not out of the woods yet. We'll all keep working.
All right, Christina Farrell, we appreciate everything you're doing and for updating us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Let's get you some money news. We're going to start with a look at how this monster winter storm is battering the box office.
NBC News business and economy reporter Allie Canal has your Money Minute. Allie, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, this weekend's winter storm essentially froze out the box office. Snow and ice forced more than 400 theaters to close, dragging the weekend haul to the lowest total of the year, just over $58 million, according to Deadline. Amazon's new Chris Pratt film Mercy finished on top, but severe weather kept the opening muted as moviegoers across much of the U.S. decided to stay home. And speaking of Amazon, a high-stakes bet on the First Lady, Amazon MGM Studios is set to debut its Melania Trump documentary later this week, a film that follows her from the 2025 campaign trail through Inauguration Day. The tech giant spent a reported $40 million making the film and another $35 million promoting it. Over the weekend, a private White House screening included guests like Apple CEO Tim Cook, former boxer Mike Tyson, and AMD CEO Lisa Su. And from the big screen to the big leagues of golf, Scottie Scheffler won the American Express Championship on Sunday, taking home more than $1.6 million in prize money. At just 29 years old, the win makes Scheffler the second youngest player to reach 20 PGA Tour wins and just the third player in Tour history to surpass $100 million in career earnings. Wow. And guys, I don't follow golf that closely, but I do know Scottie Scheffler's
You know that name.
So
you could have fooled me. You felt like a sports anchor there. So
I do love sports, but golf, we're working towards it. My Rolodex is Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, and Scottie Scheffler.
Right, there you go.
There you go. Top three.
Thanks, Allie. Now to a new take on the question of how much alcohol is safe to drink and the claim that it can make us less lonely.
When the Trump administration revised the dietary guidelines for alcohol consumption, that raised new questions about whether booze helps Americans connect. This stems from a press conference earlier this month and a comment from Dr. Mehmet Oz, who runs the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. He said, while people should refrain from drinking, alcohol can have a social benefit, and that may help combat loneliness.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News health reporter Aria Bendix. She's been digging into the latest shift in alcohol guidelines and the response here. Aria, good morning. Thanks for being with us. So walk us through this. I mean, I think, everybody, I think, has probably felt that liquid confidence in certain moments. But I think there's a difference in that versus what we're actually recommending for people. So just first, how are people reacting to Dr. Oz's comments? Is it almost sort of like a green light to drink more that people are taking it as?
Right. That is the concern, Savannah. So the new dietary guidelines suggest that recommending limiting alcohol consumption, but the federal government is no longer providing specific limits for how many drinks people should have, let's say, in a day or a week. So the concern is that people might interpret these guidelines differently, and public health experts are particularly worried that the blurriness might encourage some people to drink more often, combined with Oz's comments, or perhaps if someone's considering a sober lifestyle, might discourage them from pursuing that path.
Is there any real consensus right now on what safe alcohol use does look like?
Right. I mean, we do know that drinking is bad for your physical health. That's not really contested. The World Health Organization says there's no safe alcohol limit because even light or moderate drinking can increase the risk of certain cancers. But now there's this growing debate about whether alcohol may have some social benefits. We know that young adults are more socially isolated compared to generations past, are more glued to their smartphones instead of forming real life connections. And that's a public health concern too. So the question is, can alcohol help bring people together, essentially? And the research so far on that is mixed.
Sober Curious has definitely gained steam, or even just like, I think the stats with Gen Z are so interesting, just younger people drinking less and people across the board cutting back, even quitting alcohol altogether. So with that context, how do people say that they're finding connection or fighting loneliness without having drinks in the mix?
Yeah, it's a great question, Savannah. Obviously, bars and restaurants are social places, but you don't need to drink in order to socialize. So fitness classes, intramural sports, that can help people bond over shared interests. There's also this growing movement of sober bars or alcohol-free member spaces where people can meet friends without drinking. And that movement has really taken off as young people start to understand some of these health risks associated with even one daily drink, Savannah.
All right, Aria Bendix, really interesting one. Thank you so much.
Coming up on Morning News Now, kids building confidence on and off the ice.
She's giggling and laughing and running across the ice, which is the greatest feeling in the world, to watch her be that happy and that free.
After the break, a look at the new ice skating program helping kids in need with important life skills. Stay with us.
Finally this hour, we want to introduce you to a program in New York State that uses ice skating to help kids build physical and social skills while developing community. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson has that story.
Hey there, we've got a special one for you about hitting your stride to find true community.
Scarlett Heilinger couldn't walk, but with special skates and her family by her side, she's learned to glide. Scarlett is one of about 70 skaters near Buffalo, New York, who are part of Gliding Stars.
The program is for anybody that has a social, emotional, mental, invisible disability.
Miranda Fiore helps run the program.
Some of our autistic skaters really struggle socially, so we try to help them to grow in that aspect. For skaters that typically cannot walk, we will try to get them to get more strength in their legs, in their ankles.
Many use special equipment, like 5-year-old Scarlett, who has a rare condition called hereditary spastic paraplegia, making the muscles in her legs really stiff. Her mom, Pamela, says skating changed their lives.
Her goal when we started skating was just to try to stand in the walker. She's gotten to the point now where she'll skate away from us.
Are we gliding on yellow light?
Courtney Reynolds started skating when she was 5, when she struggled with respiratory and pancreatic issues and selective mutism, meaning she generally didn't speak.
My entire life was spent in the hospital, and when I was in school, I didn't talk. Swing, 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 swing.
But skating helped her find her voice.
Here we go. Week after week, they pushed me to do a little bit more.
Now she volunteers, teaching the next generation of skaters, including her 2 boys.
Pumpkin! Watching my own children learn to skate, learn to grow, and become better people specifically because they're here. That's beyond rewarding.
Scarlett! Making strides on and off the ice, one step at a time.
She's giggling and laughing and running across the ice, which is the greatest feeling in the world, to watch her be that happy and that free.
And it is certainly great to watch. Back to you.
No kidding. It's good to see ice in a controlled environment, not right now on the streets where we're all walking around sliding all over without any control. That's an excellent program. That'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, it's the great dig out of 2026 after Mother Nature's monster of a winter wallop. Many of us are waking up to a positively chilling swath of heavy snow. Piles of white stuff lining the streets paired with spells of brutal freezing rain and ice, knocking out power to nearly 1 million households from Texas to right here in NYC. The chaos bringing whiteout conditions to some of the nation's busiest airports. Thousands of flights canceled over the weekend. And in Maine, a private jet with 8 people on board crashing shortly after takeoff late last night. Recovering the storm's aftermath from all angles as outrage explodes in Minneapolis over another fatal shooting by a federal officer. Comes just weeks after the high-profile death of Renee Good. More on the 37-year-old ICU nurse now being remembered by his community, and the deafening calls for change coming from local leaders as the Trump administration plays the blame game in the wake of another tragedy. Let's begin this hour with a look at the widespread effects of this weekend's monstrous winter storm.
More than 800,000 people are waking up without power this morning after the storm slammed a huge part of the country with heavy snow and freezing rain. Local officials say the storm has even turned deadly in several states, and now bitter cold is setting in for millions of people from the Midwest to the East Coast. We will get a full weather forecast in just a moment, but we begin with NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin in Boston. Aaron, good morning.
Hey there, here in Boston, the snowplows have been out all night creating snow piles like this one. And while the snow is still coming down, for the most part, the system is on its way out, leaving behind a trail of death and destruction.
This morning, millions of Americans remain hunkered down after a deadly winter storm barreled across the country, killing at least 9. And now it's the freeze. At least 200 million Americans under cold alerts, with warnings in the hard-hit southeast of icy, treacherous conditions.
It's horrific out. It's not worth driving. I regret coming out.
Overnight, the monster system heading east, bearing parts of New England in at least 20 inches of snow. Heavy ice and bone-chilling temps dipping to -20 this weekend. A combination of freezing rain and ice knocking down power lines.
We won't have power for a while.
Leaving nearly 1 million households without power in dangerously cold conditions. Trees snapping around homes in New Mexico, while sparks flew from ice-coated electric lines in Tennessee. The storm system spanned 2,000 miles from Texas to Maine. Police digging vehicles out of the snow and responding to multi-vehicle pileups on highways across the Midwest. More than 360 vehicle crashes reported in Indiana alone.
If you don't have to be on the roads, don't be on the roads.
This U.S. Coast Guard ship was called in to break the ice on Lake Michigan to free a trapped cargo vessel. Back east,
very cold.
Yeah.
While some brave the elements for some snowy fun, others heeded warnings to wait out the whiteout inside.
Staying indoors as much as possible. We stocked up on everything we need, so I think we're pretty prepared.
Now it's 16 degrees here in Boston. This snow is sticking. The good news is that it is a light and dry snow. Officials say they do not expect to see the kind of power outages that have plagued other states. They're urging folks here to stay at home, schools out, work remotely. The hope is that everything is back on track by Tuesday. Back to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you.
So what's next? Let's get a look at the forecast in those low temps across the country.
Andrea Romero is back with us this hour. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. And we can see this extreme cold that's impacting most of the country. We have cold weather alerts that are extending all the way from Texas into the Dakotas, over here into New York and New Jersey. We have basically over 200 million people that are being impacted either by cold advisories, extreme cold watches, or even some cold warnings with temperatures that are below freezing. This morning, there will be the potential for record low temperatures in Texas all the way through Oklahoma, extending into parts of the Midwest. And we are looking at temperatures that are going to be cold, basically coast to coast. Wind chill temperatures this morning, 18 degrees in Chicago right now. We're talking about 11 degrees in New York. In Nashville, 3 degrees below zero. And in Kansas City, 13 degrees as well. Up north, the temperatures are even colder, and it only takes a couple of minutes, maybe 30 minutes, if your skin is exposed to suffer frostbite. So if you're going to be going out to shovel, you want to make sure that you bundle up and you cover all that exposed skin, and you take care, because it is dangerous out there. Now, the winter storm is beginning to exit. We still have some pockets of precipitation, mostly over the mid-Atlantic. We have still some rain, with some freezing rain this morning, and we have still some snow that's lingering over New England. We have winter weather alerts. About 46 million people are still impacted, and that's mostly due to what's already on the ground, such as those ice warnings that we have down in Georgia. Right now, snow totals that are coming in this morning from the snow that fell this weekend: 1.5 inches in Dallas, 8.5 inches in Oklahoma City. Moving on north, we can see in Boston, close to 18.5 inches fell. In Central Park, we had one of the biggest snowfalls that happened in one day, when we almost reached 11.5 inches. So now, this system is pulling away. We do have those lingering snow showers still in eastern New England, and the temperatures, of course, will remain below freezing. Now, we're looking at a clipper system. It's weak, but it will be bringing some snow squalls into the Great Lakes as those strong gusty winds continue to move over the relatively warmer lake waters that still haven't frozen over. And we can look at those locally accumulations of up to 2 feet falling in Tug Hill Plateau in parts of New York. But it will be dangerously cold today. Temperatures that'll be 20 to 30 degrees below average.
And today's the warm, balmy day, you're saying.
Yes, I did tell you. Yeah, the temperatures are just going to be colder throughout this week, and it looks like even next week it's still going to be cold.
All right. Thanks, Andrea. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, this storm is taking a major toll on the nation's airports. At least 4,400 flights are canceled or delayed today. That is after more than 26,000 were impacted over the weekend. And this morning, officials are trying to determine if the weather played a role in a fiery private jet crash in Maine. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation for us, of course. He's got the latest on all of it from Reagan National Airport. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, we've got an awful lot of orange on the screen behind me representing canceled flights here and across much of the Northeast and into the South. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's start with what happened in Bangor, Maine last night. We now know that the small private jet is listed to a company out of Houston, that according to Flight Radar 24. Now the NTSB and the FAA are investigating. This morning, investigators are combing through wreckage at Bangor International Airport after a small jet crashed on the runway Sunday night as it tried to take off.
We have a passenger aircraft upside down.
3 crew and possibly 5 passengers.
It happened just before 8 p.m. involving a small business jet. The FAA confirms it was a Bombardier Challenger 600 with 8 people on board. Authorities, though, are not commenting on any fatalities or injuries.
There's an active scene going on right now. We're doing our best to manage that.
At the time of the crash, visibility about 3/4 of a mile with light snow falling. It's not clear whether weather played any role in the crash. Airport authorities have urged the public to avoid Bangor International for now, ultimately closing its runway overnight as the investigation gets underway. Meanwhile, across the country, that massive storm has been wreaking havoc on air travel. More than 11,000 flights canceled nationwide Sunday, surpassing records from the peak of the COVID pandemic. The snow, ice, and Arctic temps also causing thousands of delays.
It was delayed, so I hope we can make the flight.
More than 90% of flights grounded at LaGuardia Airport in New York and Philadelphia. Crews working to clear the runways in the Washington, D.C. area, with DCA hit especially hard. The storm also affecting other major airports in the South, not typically impacted by severe winter weather. Inside the nation's busiest airport, Atlanta, a rare sight. Empty TSA lines.
Yeah, it's pretty empty here at Reagan National this morning. Let me just give you the latest stats. This according to FlightAware. We've now got 3,800 flight cancellations today. And listen, it is early. Things are going to continue to ripple through the day because, of course, if you don't have planes in position, the flights are not going to be going in or out. About 1,000 delays right now. So there's a very good chance if you're supposed to fly today and you're going into or out of the Northeast or the South, you could miss your flight today, maybe canceled. And then it's going to take days for them to catch up, you guys. So don't expect that suddenly everything will be better today or tomorrow. You know how these winter storms go. This is the most flights canceled since the pandemic. It will take them quite a while to get everything back up and running again.
All right, Tom Costello, thank you so much for that.
Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler. He is in Dallas. Ryan, good morning. Dallas bracing for record low temps this morning. Forecasters say the wind chill could get as low as minus 10 degrees in some spots. The city isn't expecting any more sleet or snow, but the issue now is the bitter cold. Tell us more about that.
Right. Even though the storm has passed us by, the worst of the impacts are actually today, because we see all of that precipitation packing down onto the ground. The dangers of the storm are not gone, even if it's not pouring down on top of us actively. We're staring down record low temperatures here in Dallas, and this ice that I'm standing on right now is indistinguishable from an ice rink. I mean that literally. It is packed that hard in all of these streets in downtown Dallas, almost impossible to drive through. We've seen similar conditions on major highways. The problem is it's going to stay this cold. None of this is going to melt until at least through tomorrow. We're not going to see above freezing temperatures until probably tomorrow afternoon. So this is still a waited out situation here in North Texas.
Ryan, one of the biggest concerns, especially in that state, was whether the power grid would remain stable through this cold. In preparation, the U.S. Department of Energy had actually issued an emergency order to deploy backup power. This was from major facilities, think like data centers, to help reduce the risk of blackouts. But we know this has been a challenge for Texas in the past. How has it been going? How many people are without power?
You know, across the South, power is a major issue. About half a million people across the South, according to PowerOutage.com. But those are mostly concentrated in Tennessee, Louisiana, and Mississippi, where they got much worse icing. Here in Texas, I think a lot of people are counting their blessings. Power outages have not been a major storyline. Yesterday, there were as many as 100,000 people in Texas out of power, mostly in East Texas, where icing was much more severe. But that's less than 1% of total Texas customers. So compared to how bad it was 5 years ago, the grid is holding up well. Power lines were not a major concern because that ice just didn't bring them down like we were scared they would. So a lot of people are very fortunate to be warm in their homes with power today.
Ryan, the roads, Texas Department of Transportation is working around the clock, we know, to try and clear snow. Also ice from major highways in Dallas, especially things like bridges and overpasses, which become just dangerously slick. People don't realize that because of the cold air passing underneath. They're telling folks to stay home, not to drive. What's the biggest concern when it comes to the traveling conditions?
Well, we spent a better part of the morning yesterday taking our four-wheel drive all around these Dallas highways, and I have never seen them so empty. It was surreal to drive around. Almost nobody was on the roads, people heeding that advice. But you do see that anybody brave enough to brave those conditions did get stuck in the ice. We saw people walking on the highways, driving the wrong direction to try and get away from that ice. A lot of bridges were closed down in major, typically busy highway sections. But good news, hardly anybody is brave enough to think that they can get through those conditions.
That is some good news. I mean, I guess that's my last question here for you, Ryan, is are people heeding those warnings? At this point, what is the warnings from officials in terms of staying home? I know schools are closed, things like that. What do they want people to do?
Most schools are closed in this area. I don't know of any that are asking students to show up in these conditions all across North Texas. And I'll show you, it is 7:13 Central Time here in the middle of downtown Dallas, major business center, and there's nobody on the streets. So I got to imagine all these companies are asking their employees to stay home. It seems just completely empty. So yes, that's the advice. Just stay home. We're going to get through this in the next couple of days. Wait it out till this ice thaws.
All right, Ryan, that includes you. Stay safe, get warm. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Now to our other big story, many Minneapolis residents are calling for federal agents to leave their city following the fatal shooting of Alex Pretti. The 37-year-old's death marks the second time someone was killed by federal agents in the city this month. Now the Trump administration is facing more backlash from Democratic leaders and protesters with serious questions about how the fatal incident unfolded after numerous videos of the incident surfaced. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky is in Minneapolis with the latest. Morgan, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, good morning. And another incredibly tense night here in the city. There were multiple arrests after protesters clashed with authorities outside of a hotel that they believed federal agents were staying at. And two federal law enforcement sources now telling NBC that Alex Pretti's death will be investigated by DHS as the lead agency, assisted by the FBI and DOJ in a remarkable departure from protocol.
Overnight, outrage in Minneapolis after the killing of Alex Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse shot Saturday morning by a federal Border Patrol agent. Last night, protesters trying to get into a hotel in Minneapolis where they believed federal agents were staying. Authorities breaking up the crowd. Yesterday, Governor Tim Walz activating the state's National Guard and demanding federal agents leave.
That Donald Trump needs to pull these 3,000 untrained agents out of Minnesota before they kill another person.
But President Trump blaming Democrats for the unrest, writing in a lengthy post, 2 American citizens have lost their lives as a result of this Democrat-ensued chaos, referring to both Pretti and Renee Good, who was fatally shot earlier this month. Some Trump officials facing scrutiny for accusing Pretti of approaching agents with a handgun.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
But at least 4 different videos of the encounter, analyzed by NBC News, appear to show Pretti with a phone in his hand in the moments before his death, attempting to come to the aid of a woman pushed to the ground by federal agents. An agent pepper sprays him before Pretti is brought to the ground. Some of the video shows an agent appearing to reach into the skirmish and remove a gun that looked like Pretti's. Then, Pretti is shot. Pretti is a U.S. citizen with no criminal record and was licensed to carry a concealed weapon, according to local officials. Pretti's family saying in a statement, "The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs." Overnight, President Trump telling the Wall Street Journal his administration is reviewing everything about the shooting. When pressed, Trump did not directly answer whether the agent who shot Pretti had done the right thing. Here in Minneapolis, Pretti remembered, shown here as an ICU nurse reading a final salute.
We remember that freedom is not free.
And a memorial growing for Pretti on the street.
What do you see when you watch those videos?
An execution, an absolute execution.
Now, as this investigation deepens, due to the fact local officials sued the Trump administration, a federal judge here has blocked the Trump administration and the investigators from altering or destroying any evidence related to this ongoing investigation. In the meantime, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, President Trump expressed a willingness to eventually withdraw federal authorities here, saying that they will have to leave at some point and that they've done a phenomenal job. He did not offer a clear timeline, and notably here, Joe, when pressed on whether or not he believed this agent did the right thing, the president did not give a clear answer. Joe.
All right, Morgan, thank you so much. For a closer look at this moment of the shooting, let's bring in National Law Enforcement and Intelligence correspondent Tom Winter. Tom, good to have you with us. In a normal investigation, when we're looking at this, what are the things we would be focusing on? What would stand out?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of things, and we should note as we go and start to look at this video here, we don't have, and we've asked about it, body-worn camera video of this incident. We're not sure if they have it at all. That would be helpful in explaining this moment here as we're starting to see the pepper spray come out. out is they're pulling Pretti right there, pulling him from the back. We see him in the brown jacket. What's being said here? What is he being told to do? Is he saying anything at all? Has he told them that he's armed or not? Lots of questions about that. And then we have this critical moment now right there highlighted for us on the screen. When the gun is taken off of him, you hear the word gun, and then you later hear, as we just heard in Morgan's report, the gunfire come out. But you are seeing the weapon being pulled here in the slow motion video. And so the question here for investigators is going to be, what is the intent at the moment that that gun is now removed? Somebody hears gun, did an officer, and this is where it hinges on all these investigations. Did they reasonably fear for their lives, and that's the reason why they fired? It's obviously they can't go moment for moment, frame for frame as we're going right now. This happens a lot faster in real life, but it does raise some questions that the gun was removed. Should lethal force have been used here?
Tom, we're going to show what I think will be a second angle where you can see a bit more of what happened before Alex Pretti was brought to the ground. And my question on this video that we're seeing right here is, how does it contradict the Trump administration's claims of what happened?
So DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said that Pretti, quote, reacted violently to the officers and that he, quote, arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage, later said, and to kill law enforcement. You just saw in that video that you were referencing there as you started speaking, Savannah, we're looking at it now. This incident, is there enough time here? And you're looking at his left hand, which there's clearly nothing in. His right hand, which is a cell phone, he later puts it into his right pocket as the video plays out. You know, the question here is, what is the point of the interaction here? What is the discussion that takes place? We don't have it, or we don't believe that we have it from DHS. We asked them about that body worn. Obviously, as I said, we don't know whether they have it or not. But certainly a question, and people in law enforcement are questioning the DHS's statements here. They're saying, look, this doesn't quite add up. And until you have all the facts to come out and say something like that, it really hurts all of law enforcement because it hurts credibility. So it's not just reporters that are raising questions about the statements. It's being raised by law enforcement.
To get all the facts you need what's perceived as a fair, impartial investigation. We know with Renee Good's shooting that Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension was sort of blocked out, iced out of being part of the investigation. What do we know about this investigation? Who will be looking into it?
Right. So a federal judge has already weighed in and said that there is to be no evidence that's destroyed here. There was a search warrant that was applied for at the state level that was attempted to be served on that scene by state investigators. They were told they could not be involved in that. And that's not something that was surprising to me because there is obviously a separation here between federal and state. To your question, Joe, this is going to be investigated by DHS. It is typically this is something that's investigated by the FBI. And all of this comes as you've got the Trump administration say, well, local police should be doing more here. We need local law enforcement to help out. But you get a Minneapolis city ordinance. I looked it up last night. That specifically prohibits the Minneapolis Police Department or any city employee from helping to set up a perimeter or helping to set up an area so that these enforcement operations can occur. So if you're the Minneapolis Police Chief, Brian O'Hara, what are you saying? Do I violate my city ordinances or do I set up a protest zone so these incidents can happen without the potential for violence? That's why you're seeing organizations like the IACP, an association of chiefs of police that's got a lot of members here in the United States, asking the White House, we need you to step in here. We need you to start engaging with us in a dialogue on the local and federal level so that you can carry out your priorities and your policies. At the same point, we don't have people hurt and we're not having local law enforcement put in the middle. You got to de-escalate law enforcement to law enforcement here, state and local, before you can de-escalate things on the street.
Tom Winter, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
As always. Let's continue this conversation with former Minneapolis Police Chief Madira Arradondo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Chief. Do you think the videos that are out there right now and the evidence available at this point backs up what the Trump administration is alleging?
Thank you for having me this morning. Based on the videos and certainly all the videos that I have seen and gone over in terms of Mr. Pretti's shooting death, no, there's a lot of things in that video that do not comport with what the DHS's initial statements are saying. You know, I think Tom Winter there pointed out a couple of things. I mean, there was the statement that he was there. DHS said that Mr. Pretti was there. He was there to massacre law enforcement. There's nothing in that video, the videos that I've observed, that would even bring any substance to that. Also concerns about, if in fact the weapon in the video that you focused on, if in fact his conceal and carry permit weapon was taken from him, removed from him prior to the shooting, that also raises questions about the reasonableness to use deadly force in that situation. So no, that is the situation on the ground here in Minneapolis right now, is that not only are the residents of Minneapolis, but even local law enforcement are questioning those initial statements that came out from DHS regarding Mr. Pretti's shooting death.
Chief, good to see you. You and I were on the scene of many crime scenes together over the years in my times reporting in Minneapolis. Yes. As you know, this is the second deadly shooting involving federal agents there in a month. The current Minneapolis Police Chief, Brian O'Hara, is telling reporters basically people there have had enough. Give us a sense of just how outraged and angry people are there, how it compares with the past, including George Floyd, a situation you know well.
Yeah, so good to see you again. So, as you remember, certainly your audience remembers, 5.5 years ago, the city of Minneapolis was rocked by the killing of Mr. Floyd. The city is still trying to heal and recover from that. At that point, 5.5 years ago, the MPD was the focus of a lot of the people's anger and frustration. Now it's reversed in the sense that now that focus and frustration and anger is placed upon these federal agents that have descended into Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. And there's a crisis right now of trust and credibility. The trust is that there's no communication. Chief Brian O'Hara has not received any communication. Matter of fact, as his officers were responding to the scene of Mr. Pretti's killing, they were denied access into that scene by federal agents. And so it is very difficult, and it's very difficult in his leadership to try to explain to his constituents about actions that he has no control over. So it's that, again, that crisis of trust, that crisis of credibility, that's very palpable right now in Minneapolis.
The Chief O'Hara also talked about how his police force is stretched incredibly thin. He said the situation is not sustainable. We had our Tom Winter just pointing out this sort of clash of different branches of law enforcement, and also smartly pointing out to us a few moments ago that local police are the ones who are trained to do something like set up this perimeter around a protest. We now know the activation of the National Guard by Governor Tim Walz is happening. Could that help the situation at all? How do you see that at play here?
Yeah, my experience has been that local law enforcement, they know their communities. They are extensively trained in de-escalation. Obviously, Minneapolis police has gone through a lot of policy changes, a lot of training as it relates to protest and public demonstrations since the murder of George Floyd 5.5 years ago. Also, the Minneapolis Police Department, their full complement of personnel is only 600. Right now. There's over 3,000 federal agencies involved. And so having Governor Walz activate Minnesota National Guard for specific deployments within the city, I do believe that that's helpful. They know Minnesotans. They are Minnesotans. They're citizen soldiers and airmen. They know the area. They've certainly had a lot of practice. And so I think that will help. But as Tom Winters pointed out, until we can somehow get both federal and local folks to sit down and see the best way to look at an off-ramp to de-escalate this, we're still going to have this situation.
You know, when you were a chief and there was an incident involving one of your officers, it was Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension that would come in and investigate. It's looking like in this situation, it's going to be the federal government, the Department of Homeland Security. Your thoughts, how should this investigation unfold?
Yeah, I will tell you that, and as you mentioned, I've worked with the Minnesota BCA for many years. They have done absolutely phenomenal work in some very high-profile cases, whether it was the recent political assassinations in Minnesota, the Annunciation school shooting, and even the murder of Mr. George Floyd. They're meticulous, they're thorough, they're fair, they're transparent, they know the communities. They should be a part of it, quite honestly. And again, at the end of the day, people need to know that they can trust the process, the investigative process. They can have differences about the outcome, but if they at least believe that the process is going to be fair and transparent, they can live with that. Right now, that process in terms of it being fair and that people will really trust, that's in question.
All right. Madeira Arredondo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Your specific expertise on this is much appreciated.
Thank you.
Well, there's more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the hundreds of thousands of Americans waking up in the dark this morning after that massive winter storm tore across half the country, when power in several states could be restored.
We are back with our top story this morning. At least 9 people have been killed in the deadly winter storm that's sweeping across much of the U.S. Around 185 million people are still under winter alerts, while more than 800,000 people are without power as heavy rain and snow pummel the country, creating major disruptions. NBC's Gary Grumbach is in Washington, D.C. with more on this. So, Gary, walk us through some of the scenes that have been unfolding across the country, the situation where you are right now.
Yeah, the storm has passed, but the conditions that are on the ground remain. And it's snow, it's sleet, and it's freezing rain that are all on the ground here. I want to show you what this actually looks like and why it's going to be so difficult for crews to sort of pick this up. This is not this light, fluffy stuff that you can make snowballs out of or that you can make snowmen out of. This is like real hard ice because of that line of ice. That's what we're seeing here in D.C. and really around the country. We're seeing over a foot of snow up in the Boston area, and then down south, places that never get 3 or 4 or 5 inches of snow are experiencing that as well. And those are the locations that are going to be some of the most hardest hit. You're seeing power outages, 250,000 people without power in Tennessee. That's going to take a long time to get fixed because of the ice on the above ground power lines across the rural areas of Tennessee. Joe.
And we're seeing some of the fun images there, but sadly we do know at least 9 people have been killed in this. What are we learning about some of those deaths?
Yeah, 9 people in 5 states have lost their lives, several to hypothermia and cold weather conditions, one because a snowplow backed into a woman in a parking lot. Tragic, heartbreaking situations. But it does speak to the idea that, you know, the officials have been saying for days now, stay off the roads, stay inside if you can, let the plows, let the folks do their jobs to get this place cleaned up, to get the streets cleaned up, to get the sidewalks cleaned up, so that folks can get back to school, get back to work, and go on with their lives here.
Can you give us a sense of just how much this is disrupting travel, but also things, you know, like sporting events or concerts? I know I was supposed to go to an event next door at Radio City last night. That's been postponed a couple days. I mean, it seems like pretty much everything's getting canceled, right?
Yeah, everything really is getting canceled. The roads are a mess, but the skies perhaps are messier. Yesterday, we saw 12,000 cancellations around the country. DCA, the main airport here in D.C., LaGuardia, one of the big airports in New York City, just completely closed. No flights in or out. We haven't seen that many cancellations in a single day since the COVID pandemic, since nobody was flying anywhere at all because of the pandemic. It's not getting a whole lot better today. We're already seeing more than 3,500 cancellations today as folks try to get to where they need to go. We saw in the sports world, the Dallas Mavericks couldn't even get to Milwaukee for their NBA game, so that game had to be canceled. A Memphis game for the Grizzlies had to get canceled because folks couldn't get to the stadium itself. So a lot of troubles. You couldn't get to Radio City. A lot of troubles there across the country here, Joe.
No kidding. And Gary, we are going to get the forecast in just a moment, but just give us a sense of what folks, even there in Washington, are expecting or bracing for in the next day or so.
Yeah, it's cold out here, Joe, and it's only going to get colder, and that's here in D.C. I'm not even talking about places that are already negative 20, negative 30 degrees without the wind chill, right? We're talking about seriously dangerous, seriously cold weather. This snow that we're seeing here in Washington, D.C., right outside the Capitol, is not going to be going anywhere for several weeks. It's just going to be sitting here, icing up the roads, icing up the sidewalks because of the extreme cold that you're going to hear about in just a second, Jeff.
Yeah, we're here to Gary, thank you so much. Appreciate that. To punctuate that point, we want to get a look at what you can expect with your Morning News Now weather. Andrea Romero is here with more on that part of the story. It's not going anywhere, is it?
No, what fell is going to stay for a while because the temperatures are just so cold that Mother Nature is not going to help us at all with any of that snow or ice removal. In fact, the storm is beginning to push out a little bit. So as far as the precipitation, we are seeing a little bit of a relief. At least it's not going to be falling like it did yesterday. We do have some rain still pushing off the mid-Atlantic coast. We have a little bit of icing showing up here close to Norfolk. And of course, we still have some lingering snow showers over New England. And we do have still 46 million people that are impacted somehow with these winter weather alerts. Most of it is because of what fell over the weekend that is still going to be accumulating, will still remain on the ground for the next couple of days. So as far as those snow totals, we are looking at 8.5 inches in Oklahoma City, in Little Rock close to 4 inches, in St. Louis close to 8 inches. We had 1.5 inches in Dallas, Texas, in Pittsburgh Pittsburgh, close to 11 inches fell. In Washington, D.C., we were just shy of 7 inches. And in New York, we had close to 11.5 inches with 18.5 inches in Boston. So it was a significant snowfall that we had yesterday, and we're still expecting, as the storm pushes away, those lingering light accumulations over parts of eastern New England. Temperatures will remain below freezing throughout the day, and in fact, for the rest of the week, we're looking at below average temperatures, freezing temperatures across the country. We do have a weak clipper system that's going to be moving across the Great Lakes, some snow squalls, some strong wind gusts likely, and we're looking at the possibility of 12 to 24 inches still of accumulation, especially in that Tug Hill Plateau in northern New York that always gets slammed with that lake effect snow. But the record lows, that's going to be the story for today and for the next couple of days. Today, we're looking at average temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below average across the region. Tomorrow, it's still going to be really cold, and it's going to be getting progressively colder. If we look at those 3-day temperatures, we can see, for example, Wednesday in New York, 22, Thursday, 21, 19 on Friday as a high temperature, and that's going to be the picture across much of the country as that cold Arctic air settles in throughout the week. Now, we take a look at our weekend, and I'm going to show this to you briefly. We have this
record cold.
Yes, we have record low temperatures on Friday, and then look what happens on Saturday. We get some snow developing over the mid-Atlantic. Some models are suggesting that we can have another major winter storm that might affect the eastern part of the country next week. So we're looking at that. I think they're a little bit crazy right now, I'm hoping, but we'll definitely keep our eyes on that.
Bottom line, if you like winter, you're happy right now. If you don't, apologies.
I'm not so happy.
All right, Andrea, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, it is a different kind of dry January that has tech-weary scrollers springing for a digital detox. Good Morning News Now returns by more and more social media users are practicing abstinence this month, looking to disconnect in their daily lives. We'll explain next. We're back now with some money headlines, starting with good news for your wallet this morning. Economists are predicting a big boost for your tax refund. NBC News business and economy reporter Allie Canal has your Money Minute. Good morning, Allie.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. Your tax refund could be bigger than expected this year. President Trump's tax law expanded deductions and boosted the child tax credit, but many paychecks haven't reflected those changes yet, meaning some workers may have overpaid along the way. According to the Tax Foundation, the average refund could jump to around $3,800, and for some filers, that number could go even higher. Meanwhile, TikTok is collecting more data on users. The app just updated its privacy policy as it shifts to U.S.-based ownership, part of a new joint venture that includes software company Oracle. The changes include more precise location tracking, data from interactions with AI tools, and a bigger ad network that follows users beyond the app. And from how we scroll to how we sip, Dry January is getting a buzzy makeover. Sales of THC-infused drinks are surging as more Americans look for a high without the hangover. Data from Future Markets Insight shows the category could grow from about $850 million last year to $4 billion by 2028. The new federal limits on THC levels in hemp-derived drinks could put some of that growth at risk. And Joe, I attempted Dry January. I didn't quite make it there, but this move and shift towards more THC-infused beverages doesn't fully surprise me. We've seen this sober, curious movement gain a lot of ground recently.
Yeah, no kidding. Good for you for making it this far. I tried it once, and I'm still apologizing to people for the cruelty that I bestowed upon them during that month. So, all right, thanks, Allie. Appreciate it. Speaking of Dry January, move over, Dry January. There's a new reset in town, putting down your phone. Americans chasing a digital detox are testing new methods to try and rein in social media and break that scroll habit. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung is here with what they're calling abstinence. Brian, good morning.
Yeah, it's a play on words with Instagram, TikTok, and so many other apps begging for your constant attention. Those wanting to break free from scrolling through life or finding creative ways to get back to actually living it.
The phone fatigued are saying it's time to disconnect in daily life, too.
I'm addicted to my phone.
I'm getting more and more overwhelmed and more scared.
Lately, I've been endlessly scrolling, and I had to come to my senses.
As 33% of people said reducing screen time was their #1 New Year's resolution, topping even weight loss. Americans spend an average 5 hours a day on their screens. That's over 30% of the time you're awake.
If you're chronically online and kind of hate it, this is for you.
Olivia Yokobonis works for Opal, an app that limits the time you spend on other apps. The company's racked up millions of downloads and noticed a bump after New Year's.
People are tired of losing time. They're tired of realizing after a long day that they have not spent time with their families or spent time in their hobbies.
Ironically, she's cultivated a large following on social media as an anti-doom scrolling influencer.
This person spent 40 hours on social media last week. That is a full-time job with no benefits and no PTO.
There are companies incorporating a physical aspect to this too, like Brick, where you literally have to tap a device to block yourself from getting into certain apps until you're ready to tap it again, which will allow you to get back in.
I'm on a 21-day Brick, essentially, like a fast.
23-year-old Connor Belsby using Brick as part of a cleanse to start the year.
So tell me about your relationship with your phone and social media.
Before I got Brick, it was definitely a bit more unconscious, not really being intentional about what I'm watching or even what I'm doing. And that's when I realized this is just not good for my mental or just life in general.
Why not just delete the apps?
Actually, conversation I've had a lot this week with different people. You completely delete it, then you're fully unattached, unaware of everything.
The ultimate abstinence? Going with a dumb phone, with some turning to stripped-down phones like light phones for the basics, calls, texts, and photos. Others resurrecting those flip phones for a nostalgic factor, too.
This has been the best thing I've ever purchased. Just holding this brings me joy.
Experts say the results can be transformative, with digital detoxing leading to healthier minds and bodies.
People felt happier, were more attentive, and did a lot of other things like exercise and reading more.
And it's worth noting that these apps can cost money, and they're also not really foolproof. You can always delete the app to get back in, but the idea is adding an extra layer, a speed bump, if you will, that kind of forces you, Joe, to think and stop and say, I'm actually being blocked from this app right now. I can override it if I want to, but do I really need to be scrolling for the next 20, 30 minutes, which could turn into an hour, could turn into 2 hours? I think that's the idea.
Have you ever done a detox like this before?
No, but playing around with the Brick, I do find it kind of appealing because the idea is that you could put it up on, let's say, your fridge at home, and when you leave for the day, you can brick yourself from, Instagram or TikTok while you're at work. And again, the idea is you can't tap it until you get back home. So it adds that physical barrier to it. Have I actually succeeded in doing it? Not quite. Although I always tell myself, I need TikTok for my job.
Right, there is that. I will say, years ago, I did a month of no social media, and I never went back. I haven't done social media in years because the difference in my brain was unreal.
I was going to say it was a noticeable change.
I tell people try it for even just a few weeks, just so you can see what happens. It's stunning, the change. So, but I realize some folks need to be on there. All right, thanks, Brian. That was fun. Appreciate it. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stick with us. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.